Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Morning Leap session for Wednesday, April the 18th, 2018. My name is Doug McKay. I'm the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market, and then we drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses. Our hypotheses are our trade plans. We create two main hypotheses. We do not know what the market's going to do. Therefore, we create plans based on who takes control, the buyers or sellers. And then we have two alternative hypotheses, which are for our expansion days, where we go into a trend. This is a subscription room. If you're interested in checking it out, send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website, there's no blog. This is not a commercial venture. We do everything live here in the go-to, and then we do live trading analysis during the course of the trading day. If you're watching this video and you just want to see the hypos themselves, skip forward to about 15, 16 minutes in. This is going to be lead-up context, which I think is important, but some people find that it's a little bit boring. But creating a morning routine for me has been something that has been consistent for all the years that I've been doing this. So let's start with a review of yesterday. Yesterday, our Hypo 1 was a open auction out of range, a push down into the 91 to the 89, fill the half gap, and somewhere down here finding buyers and then rotating us up towards the mid of the gap zone, which was at the 27.05. That was our primary target. Our secondary target was our key line in the sand above at 1250. And if we got above 1250, we were targeting this microcomposite VPOC up here in the 1850, 1875 level. Hypo 1 is what we got. We opened auction. We came down to our first trade zone. Buyers stepped in, rotated us up through the open at 98 and a quarter and the overnight VPOC, and then we kind of based there, and then we finally got the breakout, the impulse wave up into the mid of the gap zone. We basically chopped inside of the gap zone, came back to test the 2701 area, and then rotated back up into our key line in the sand. At this point in time, we created a weak high, and we were looking for expansion. And I mentioned in the room, in the live trade room yesterday afternoon, that we were looking for expansion in the Globex up into that main target above, which is that 1850, 1875. And looking at the Globex, we opened auction right in yesterday's main distribution zone, came down, tested the LVN, the lower side of the distribution, found the buyers, rotated back up to the VPOC from the RTH session yesterday, and then went up, tested the high from the RTH session, came back to the VWAP, consolidated. Then we got our breakout, but it was a false breakout. Came back one more time to the top of the distribution zone from the RTH session yesterday, and then put in a double top, creating a high. Came back one more time, and then this morning during the early European session, we finally rotated up into that 18 area zone, and we got the VPOC shift that shifted up from the 12 area up into the 17 and a quarter, and right now we've fallen off a bit and coming back to this LVN. So the inventory overnight is 100%, call it 95% net long in time and value. So we are looking for a continuation day after a pullback, and we'll get into that when we get into the hypos. In the meantime, let's just take a quick look at the news. We don't have a lot of news. We've got Dudley speaking right now. A lot of Fed speakers this week. We've got 10 o'clock. We've got the Bank of Canada monetary policy and the rate statement. See if they lead the way with another rate increase. 10:30, we've got crude oil inventories. And then at 2 o'clock, we've got Beige Book. And then at 3:15, we've got Dudley speaking and Coral speaking from the Fed. They just never want to shut up. Every day, I like to start my day looking at a simple candlestick chart. I do this as a general routine. And basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with the monthly. I use a 9 EMA, 20 SMA, and I'm not using these as a trade-off. And what I'm using these for is to give me an idea of where we are within the different time frames in terms of trend. Do we have a strong trend? Good slope and separation? Is price paralleling the 9 nicely? On the monthly, we've had that 14 months of one time framing up. Price is paralleling 9 really nicely, got good slope, good separation. Then in February, we violate the one time framing up and challenge the trend. In in March, we take it back and hold the 9 EMA, and so far in March. Our monthly low is down at 25.52, and based on our 10 period monthly ATR, full session average true range, which is 126.30, our upside monthly ATR target is way below us right now at the 26.7850. So this trend is in expansion mode for the month right now, and looking for continuation up. And I'll show you the targets that I'm looking at. Going to the weekly, we had broken down, and it looked like we were going to get a possible trend change. And of course, we've broken back above the 9. We're coming up and testing above the 20 right now, and we've got a possible continuation of the upward trend that we've been following for very many weeks. Going to the daily. Of course, yesterday we got the gap update on the RTH. It doesn't show it on the full session. This is a full session chart, but you can see that we've got a upside trend starting again. And just keep an eye on the 26.4950. If we get below that 26.7850, the target below is going to be the naked cross down here at 26.49. I don't think that's coming anytime in the next day or so, but something to keep an eye on. Going to the intraday, you can see that on the 4-hour session, we've had this nice strong trend in the last 3 or 4 sessions up, and this is a continuation of the longer time frame trend on the monthly. So taking a look at the structure, this black outline here, this is my microcomposite VPOC. It runs from the breakdown day, the gap down where we tried to hold value up here in the 28.32 area, and runs through to today. And then I've got a smaller microcomposite down here, which runs from the last gap down and through to yesterday, which yesterday being a gap up and a breakout. The value area high of the longer time frame is up here at the 27.2550 area, and we've got that CLVN at the 27.2650. So that's going to be our key line in the sand above us. If we get above it, then I'm looking for a move up into these two microcomposite VPOCs in the 31.75 and the 33.50, with the next big target being the next gap zone up here, which is at the 49, the mid of the gap zone, I believe, is 49. It's on my other chart. We'll be looking at that in a minute. And then that the 6-day microcomposite VPOC, from the last fractal high up here at 28.07 and a quarter is up here at 27.50. So the key areas to watch today is going to be, do we come up and we've hit the target in the Globex? Our VPOC is up here now for the Globex. Do we come up and accept this price at 27.18, push through to the other side of that balance and break out of the longer term value and get a push up into the 31 to 33 area today, and possible continuation up into the 38 to 41 area? If we fail, this is the first failure area that I'd be looking at here at the 2725 area. And then if we break below the 270850, I'd be looking for a move back to test the naked VPOC from yesterday, which is at 675, and possibly back down into testing the 2700. Anything below the 9850 area, then I'm looking for a move back down into this gap zone that we just created, and the gap, the mid of that gap is at 89.75. So taking a look at our levels, our overnight high is weak and is up at 1850. Right on top of that microcomposite VPOC and the naked VPOC on the RTH session. We have our overnight low is down at 2703.75. I've already calculated the upside, 03.75. And we have an LVN here at the 1475. I'm going to move this zone up into the 1475. I don't think the high of the range from yesterday is going to be the important area. The important area is going to be the value area. This is a very valid value area, even though it's a breakout day because of the kurtosis that we have around the VPOC. And then basically the upside ATR, our 20 period daily ATR is running at 53.53. That's the full session average true range on the daily. So our upside daily ATR is all the way up at that prior microcomposite VPOC area up here at the 2757 area. So, and our weekly ATR is running at 87 points. So off of the week low of 2660.75, our weekly ATR is actually below our daily. So again, if we get above this key line in the sand and hold, we've got range expansion on the weekly and on the daily to get up into the mid 2700s. Also want to note that the monthly 10 period daily ATR, or sorry, monthly average true range off of the month low of 2552, our monthly 10-day ATR, we've expanded. So we're in price expansion on the monthly already. So we could see some exhaustion up here and a rotation down. So don't get your long bias too strong, even though I'm expecting probably continuation up today. So what are my main hypotheses? We're going to open auction. We're going to have a gap. We've got a weak overnight high. We've got a main target up here. I'm looking for an open auction out of range. I'm looking for a rotation down into testing the value area, and somewhere between the value area high from yesterday and the naked VPOC, possibly even as low as the lower side of this distribution and the overnight low. I'm looking for buyers to step back in, rotate us up into the 2718 and push to the other side of the balance and up here in the 2650 area before falling back down and closing somewhere in around this 1850. So that is hypo 1. Hypo 2 is a open auction out of range, a push up into the 20 and then failure at the 20, maybe a little probe above, but strong selling coming in, rotate us down into the value area, chop between the microcomposite, the naked VPOC and the value area high, and then fail, take out the overnight low, and push back down into the mid of this gap zone and find buyers and rotate and close somewhere up here in the 2706, 2705 area. So that is hypo 2. Hypo 3 has to be a gap and go day, failure to close the gap, possibly just an open test drive down to the value area low, and then strong buying coming in, rotating us up through to the 2650, chopping here, and then pushing through up into these targets up here at the 3275, maybe a late day probe up into the 4175, but eventually closing in around this 30 to 33 area. That is hypo 3. Hypo 4 is a breakdown day. Failure to get above the 2720. Sellers come in strong, bring us back down to test the 2700 area, take a trip through value with an 80% destination trade to the value area low, chop here, and then fail, come down, and then come down and close this gap and come down here and test this 2680 and a quarter area. So those are my four main hypotheses. Key levels, of course, is going to be the key line in the sand. My over-under is going to be the value area low. So basically, the value area low from yesterday. Anything below that, then I'm getting a stronger bias to flipping into my hypo 4 and a breakdown into filling this gap that we left. But that's the lower probability. There is a fifth hypothesis, which is basically we get stuck in this wick right here, and we chop sideways and have a small range and just a 2-day balance zone right here, and getting stuck in this wick with a push down into the mid of yesterday, but basically spending a lot of time in the upper distribution and filling in this area right here between the 1375 and the 270675. So that is a fifth alternative. Going over to gold quickly. Gold has accepted this micro composite VPOC here at the 1347 overnight. We're coming up to that 57 target again. If we can get above it, look for the push up into the 6080 and the 6340. If we fail here at the 57, look for a rotation back down into the 47, but I'm not expecting any type of a breakdown in gold today. If it does happen, the level to keep an eye on is the 1341.40. Anything below that brings in that 33 to 35 area down here, on the lower side of this smaller time frame microcomposite. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.